Would you look at that? Invest 92L becomes potential tropical cyclone number 9. Ladies and gentlemen, this could be our 9th tropical storm of the Atlantic hurricane season. We already have tropical storm warnings in the U.S. British Virgin Island region, including Puerto Rico, ahead of this storm with another wave behind it. And shout out to Canada. All right, my friends, welcome back. It is July 28th, 2020, 1:35 p.m. And about a day and a half ago, we reported on this invest. We saw 92L out in the Atlantic, kind of in the same area as Gonzalo back when we were on letter G. And since then, we've had some progress made with this. We are now potential tropical cyclone number 9, which means it's our 9th potential tropical cyclone, then in turn could be our 9th tropical depression, 9th tropical storm, 9th possible named storm. So that's what we're looking at right now. And I also want you to pay attention quick to the back end of this, closer to the west end of Africa. We have another wave. Do not be surprised if this thing pops up as an invest on our map charts, which we usually look at right here on spaghettymodels.com. We could see potential tropical storm 9 right here. The wave behind it will have a marker sooner than later. That is just my guess, just based on the way it looks and the big wave of storms coming off Western Africa. Definitely looks like it will be an invest soon. Here is our looping radar of that system. We could see the counterclockwise spin on the lower level clouds beginning to start. We could see the higher level storms beginning to puff out. We're getting that rumble looking shape. That's what we look for our tropical depression. So this thing's showing all the signs of tropical depression. And then after that is where things get pretty iffy. And that being as far as the strength goes. As far as the path goes, we are seeing a very similar lineup to what we saw yesterday. A lot of the spaghetti plots have this thing coming over the top end of the U.S. British Virgin Islands, basically going over Puerto Rico and then hitting the top half of Dominican Republic, Haiti, top end of Cuba, into the Bahamas, and then possibly southern Florida. And by then, we will definitely know what's going on with the southeastern states. Part of the GFS model has this thing coming in south underneath Florida, and the GFS Para has this coming all the way up the west coast of the U.S., almost going into areas like Long Island and New Jersey, but way too much time before we could start predicting things like that. But until then, check out what the GFS parallel chart has to show us. So right here, I'm lined up for the 31st. That is when this storm will already be past Puerto Rico over top of the Dominican Republic. This is just a potential path. This is not any way, shape, or form the exact place this storm will go as of right now. But just to give you an idea of where they're predicting this storm, actually getting stronger up until it gets to the southeastern states off the coast of Florida and Georgia, rather, South Carolina. We got 963 millibars of pressure. And then you notice it kind of stays a little bit in the mid-60s, drops a little bit before getting closer to North Carolina, hitting the Outer Banks, and then coming up towards the northeast, potentially causing a lot of issues for the coast. Again, a lot of time for this to change and develop, but right now this is what we're dealing with. It is always smart to have the most updated information, which includes checking these charts on a daily basis, sometimes multiple times a day. And as of right now, the U.S. East Coast definitely needs to keep an eye on this potential storm. Chances are will be Isaias, which I believe is the correct pronunciation instead of Isaias. A lot of you helped me with that earlier. And the main thing to really look at here with this storm as of right now is to definitely notice the counterclockwise spin it's beginning to show. These are the signs of a tropical depression / tropical storm. We are getting into that mile per hour number where we're going to be touching that tropical depression and tropical storm level. That will happen fairly quickly, more than likely by the time it gets to Puerto Rico, which is why we have these warnings, the tropical storm warnings for the Virgin Islands rather, and Puerto Rico. Jumping over to Vent2 Sky, we look at the GEM model, and kind of the same thing as what we saw with the GFS parallel, bringing it over Puerto Rico, the top half of Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic and Haiti, and then coming through the Bahamas, and then potentially getting close to southeastern Florida. As you can see here, as we hit the 31st, here is the 1st. Here is the 2nd, and it begins to make that northern bend between the 1st and the 3rd, heading up towards the Carolinas. So a little bit of agreement going on here as this thing finally makes its way towards the Leeward and Lesser Antilles Islands. And as the storm continues to track in that direction, we just got to keep an eye and pay very close attention to these spaghetti plots. And most, if not all of them, bring us to southeastern Florida. And then that decision will be made based on the Bermuda high pressure in the Atlantic and the pressures in the Gulf in the U.S., whether or not this thing will hook north sooner than later, putting Florida out of the mix. But then we do have to deal with the Carolinas. So we have a lot to talk about with this potential tropical cyclone number 9. Chances are will be Isaias, as we talked about before. We're already in the letter I. It's not even August yet. And that's just unbelievable for this time of year in the Atlantic hurricane season. All right, guys, finally, we are at 40-mile-per-hour sustained winds, 1,007 millibar pressure. So we are just on that border of tropical depression, and then it would be tropical storm, and then we're looking at a Category 1 hurricane. We shall see what happens, ladies and gentlemen. We will be following this storm very, very closely. For those of you that know how to use these charts, keep an eye on it. As we can see here, the GFS parallel is giving us an idea. Some of the charts don't show this. It shows it dying out before it gets to the U.S. That is also a possibility. Thank you all for staying in touch, and I appreciate the comments and the questions below. If you have any concerns whatsoever, please leave them. And also, we will be talking about this second wave back here, which could be marked as soon as today on our charts. So keep an eye out for that. But right now, we are focused on what was Invest 92L, which is now potential cyclone number 9. Thank you, guys. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.